Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to my second P3D video. Now, what you're looking at right now is the Boeing 737-700. More specifically, the PMDG 737NGX in P3D. Now, this, if you're already sort of in the whole flight simming world and you're familiar with it all, I don't really need to explain this. But if you're sort of new to all this, I will briefly kind of go on. I'll briefly explain what the deal with this is. So, this is easily probably one of the best aircraft simulations commercially available on desktop computers, pretty much. PMDG are a highly successful company that have made a number of aircraft add-ons for flight simulators, particularly Flight Simulator X and P3D, which you're seeing right here. And one of the, well, not one of, the full stop most popular one they've ever done is this, which is the Boeing 737. Why is it the most popular? Because arguably it's one of the best ones they've done. The catering truck just drove into a building, very good. And, well, you know, the 737 is the world's most popular jet in real life, and therefore it stands to reason it's the most popular commercial jet when it comes to commercial simming. Now, I was very reluctant to do a video with this plane, because even though I really, really, really enjoy flying it, because it's such an excellent simulation, like, it really is, the internet and YouTube are kind of flooded with videos of people flying this thing already, and there's not really much I can add to it, frankly. I mean, you know, I could, there's nothing to stop me from just doing videos of me flying this thing around, doing different routes and things with different airlines, I guess, but really, what's the point? It's been done before by people far better at it than me, and far more popular than me, so really, what's the point? And then I had an idea. Now, because this thing has a feature called, I think it's called service-based failures. And I think the idea is it basically enables failures for the plane, and they either fail, I think, as you break things yourself, or after a mean sort of average amount of time, as the airframe itself gets older and more knackered out and stuff like that, and eventually the thing starts to break down, and things stop working properly, and so on and so forth. And I've noticed a bit of a trend among sort of commercial airliner, tube liner flight simmers or whatever, is that they always turn failures off. People don't seem to like having failures turned on. Now, obviously, me coming from... I'll try not to bore you much longer, honestly, but me coming from a background in combat simming where damage modeling is incredibly important. In fact, if a sim has a bad damage model, a really crap one, then it's, you know, people don't want to know, not interested. Got to have a good damage model. So, the ability to break one's own plane and sort of damage it through mistreatment and stuff like that and not doing things properly, I regard as kind of actually a big deal. I get a kick out of that. It gives me incentive to actually learn how to do things properly instead of half-arsing them completely. Not a lot of aircraft, as a result, you get in sims like this really offer that kind of level of detail, but this one does. Now, there's a few others as well, but this one in particular does. So what I decided I'd do is I had this idea where I'd do a sort of miniature little series of videos called... God knows what I went for the title in the end. You'll obviously see it on the video on YouTube. I haven't decided yet right now, though. But something like Fly It Until It Breaks or Fly It Until It Rusts. But basically, we take the same Boeing 737 and we fly it as much as we damn well can to plenty of different places, bunch of different environments, preferably some fairly rough environments as well, and just see how long we can go with this one airframe before things start to break down and fail. And obviously when they do break down and fail, you guys will get a kick out of it because everyone loves a good disaster. So that's the general idea. That's what we're going to be doing. And here we are with the 737. I'm aware I've probably taken way too long with this intro, so apologies for that. There's a reason I split these flights into two videos normally anyway. And we're in Copenhagen at the minute. We're in Copenhagen, where it's dreadfully foggy. We're online, we're on IVAO. As you can see, there are other aircraft milling about. We've got a 737 over there and an Airbus there. whatever. I don't. Apparently, his livery is not registering with the model matching, so he's just using a Boeing skin. We've got a Scandinavian Airbus there on his way out on the taxi. We will hopefully, unless I've taken so long with this intro that they've gone offline, we will hopefully have some air traffic control on our way out, because I know you guys quite enjoy that. I enjoy it too, otherwise I wouldn't bother with it. So there's that. We are going to Stansted today. We're going back to Stansted, which is my local airport in real life. And we're flying with Astraeus. Astraeus. You probably never heard of them, and I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't. They were a very small airline, a UK-based one. You'll note the Union Jack on the front there. They were a charter airline who were very small. They owned a small handful of aircraft, a few 757s. I think 2 of these 737-700s. And they flew pretty much all over the world. In every country imaginable, really. That's the whole point of a charter airline. They just sort of go where they were needed, where there were customers. They're not like a regular airline that flies just regular, normal, scheduled flights all over the place. And for the purposes of this series, that suits me quite well, because it means we can reasonably just sort of go anywhere we damn well please, into whatever country we damn well please, and it's still reasonably sort of realistic, essentially. And the other reason is I'm quite a big Iron Maiden fan, and have been ever since I was a teenager. And you may ask, what the devil has that got to do with this, Dave? Well, for those not in the know, Bruce Dickinson, the lead singer of Iron Maiden, is a commercially licensed pilot, and he flew with Astraeus Airlines for a number of years until I think eventually they went bankrupt or whatever in 2008 or something like that. But he used to fly for these guys, so they kind of have I have a bit of a connection to them in the fact that I'm kind of a fan of their airline in that one of their pilots, and he wasn't just a pilot as well. He was involved in the organising and running of the actual company as a whole. But he used to fly with these guys, and they also provided the Ed Force One aircraft for the Iron Maiden's tour they did a while ago, and stuff like that. So anyway, basically that's why we're flying with these guys. Astraeus. Call sign Flystar. That's flystar.com on the winglets there. Bit obscure, but kind of fun. And for the purposes of what we're going to be doing, a charter airline like this is pretty much perfect. So that's what we're doing. Welcome, everybody. I've taken way too long with this intro, as I always do. So let's get on with this, shall we? First of all, let's get these doors shut so that the catering trucks will bugger off when we stop getting beeped at. I'll raise up the HUD there. So one of the fun things about the PMDG 737 is it's very customizable. You can fit each of these planes out with a whole bunch of different options that the manufacturers give you in real life. For instance, this heads-up display thing here, which folds down and aids with takeoffs and landings in really dodgy weather. These are all different options that different airlines choose to forego or choose to have. I've tried to sort of model this thing as a slightly more old-fashioned 737, which, as you can see, has got analog standby instruments and that sort of thing modelled in it, and a whole bunch of other features. It's got also the short field takeoff add-on thing. I don't even know how it works, but it's got that installed so that we can take off from some damn short runways, should we need to. It's got the old-fashioned eyebrow windows up here, and that kind of thing. Now, I'm going to get this started as quick as I possibly can. I'm not doing this properly by any stretch of the imagination. I do have FS2 Crew for this thing. I know I'm just randomly clicking buttons for the sake of it. What am I doing? I do have FS2 Crew for this thing, which I'm thinking of using at some point in the future, but for now I'm just quite content to do all the button flicking myself. So, yeah. Let's see. We're going to put you on auto for now, and we'll leave all those bleeds in the valve open, because we want to get some air conditioning on the go, I think. Because it's pretty chilly up here in Denmark, after all. So it's early evening, really. It's sort of late afternoon, and we're going to be flying back to England, to the UK. Really, I'm just trying to get everything configured and sorted out up here. We need to align the old IRSs. And need to get the old ground power plugged in, so let's go down here. FS actions, ground connections, wheel chocks are all set, right, ground power, air conditioning unit, pitot covers, we'll get rid of those. And now we can... There we go. Ground power's on. Everything sort of whirs to life. Very good. We will need to align the IRSs by inputting our location into the FMC. I think it might have this sort of cheat option available where it aligns in 30 seconds instead of like 7 minutes or whatever, but that's fine for now. So, menu, FMC, pos init, enter IRS position, next page, GPS, paste that in, bang, yeah, it's done it immediately, fair enough, okay, well. And then FS actions, doors, and close these so that infernal beeping goes away and the catering trucks will bugger off. Hopefully. So now I think would really be a good time because I need to now start filling out the FMS and everything. We are at EKCH. There we go. Our route is EKCH. And we're going to Stansted, which is EGSS. Flight number is AEU, Flystar 1215. And at this point, I now need to call for some clearance so I can get our route verified and everything, which should be relatively, ooh dear, simple. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to click out of the window, the sim, in order to access charts and things on my other monitor from time to time. Unfortunately, P3D, when you do that, the sound completely dies, even if you've got the option checked in the options for it not to do that. It's quite aggravating, but I'm sorry, guys, you might just have to deal with it, I'm afraid. I need to check on the IVAO whereby... Oh, bloody typical. Control's gone offline. They saw me coming, and they were like, shit. Oh god, it's Dave. Let's run. Get out of here. Well, I've come this far with the video already. If I was just starting out, I might have changed to somewhere in, like, Switzerland, like Geneva, or in Paris, France, or whatever, where there's actually still some controls on, but we're here now, so... Fuck it, we're going from Copenhagen, and that's the end of it. I guess this will make the whole setup process a lot easier. Unfortunately, we might not get any control now as a result. I think Essex radar's still on over in the UK, but they're probably not going to be there by the time we arrive, which really kind of sucks, so... Oh well, maybe some controllers will pop up along our route. They'll come online as we are flying across. One can hope. It's that sort of time in the evening where they might start popping up, so... Anyway, I guess, never mind. I was hoping we'd be able to do that, but I guess not. So for now, I guess I can just go ahead and start punching in stuff immediately, instead of having to wait to get it cleared by air traffic control, which no longer exists. Hooray. So we're departing off of, I think we'll go with 22 right. That's the one I've used departing out of here with the winds currently as they are in the past, so we'll go with 22 right. And the SID is going to be, it's going to be a Lang one. Lango 1 Charlie, I guess. That's the only one available, because our first waypoint on our route is Lango, so Lang 1 Charlie is the one we therefore pick. It's quite simple, really. It's just how it works in Europe most of the time. It's quite useful. Activate. Okay, route. So, Lango, and then we are taking the M611, which sounds actually like a motorway in the UK. Which is sort of funny, but there you are, M611, and then I could type in Deagle here, but I don't actually need to. We can just type in the next airway and it should figure it out itself. UN 872 is the next one. Deagle, yeah, there you go. And then then after that it's the UZ701. 701. Eel. It's filled it in correctly. It doesn't always, so it's worth checking. But this is a nice shortcut. And then the UM20. And that ends at Edesi. At which point we will, and then we start the arrival into Stansted Airport. So that's pretty much all that done. Routes filled out, and now I need to get the fuel and crap sorted. In the meantime, I will ask GSX to start boarding our passengers. And okay, so fuel, apparently we are going to be going with 650 kilograms for today. 50 kilograms. There we go. Return. I'm just going to... when I get a chance, after I've done the payload here, this doesn't really matter, I'm just going to hit random. We'd like more than 37 passengers, thank you. 110 passengers, there we go, and that amount of cargo in the forward and aft compartments. Seems alright to me. So that's done now. We can go doors. We can open the cargo doors so they can get that stuff on board. Would be certainly a good idea, and I have to quickly open and close that again so I can move the camera around. It's an annoying little bug with EGSS, which is the add-on which does all the vehicles and stuff outside. So left entry forward. What? I thought that was already open. What's going on? It is open. Do you not want me to open it left entry aft? Open left entry forward. Right, you know what? Fuck it. I will close it and then open it again. Bloody GSX. There we go. And now we can you possibly may be able to hear on the video the passengers boarding in the back there. So, anyway, I can now tap in the 0 fuel weight. Our reserves... you know what, let's just be professional and look this up on the briefing document. Our reserve fuel for today is... I'm not actually sure, hold on. Alternate, final reserve, contingency fuel. What is that in total? Oh, I'd have to do some actual bloody maths to figure that out. Fuck it, I'll just put in 1. That usually satisfies it. Our cost index for today is apparently going to be 6. We're going to be plodding along pretty slow, but then again, we are a tiny charter budget airline, so I guess it makes sense. A transition altitude coming out of Copenhagen is... what exactly? I'm not sure. It's 5,000 feet, so... we'll whack that in there. And our cruise altitude is going to be 340. So there we go. Cruise wind, see if I can get that from the sim brief document. Average cruise wind is 314 at 42. So 314 at 042. There we go. Provide some calculations to the computers and things. Execute that. N1 limit, we will go with a standard D rate and the takeoff and the climb. I don't really know how that works, but it basically just sort of... we take off with a slightly reduced power to preserve engine life and that sort of thing. And let's be honest, we are kind of wanting to do that now. We have the old persistent failures on. So we'll go with flaps 5 on the takeoff. We'll put in the center of gravity, and we will tick in the V-speed. So there you go, V1 122, VR 124, V2 132. So that's all good. That's pretty much the CDU pre-flight, I think, complete now, more or less. There's a bunch of other crap on the second takeoff ref page I could put in, but I'm not going to bother. I've never had to in the past. I'm not going to start today. I'm just a casual pleb in an aircraft. I'm not learning to fly this thing for real, but it's all there if you wanted to learn how to fly it for real. The simulation is of that kind of quality for you to be able to do that. Okay, anything I've missed up here? Arm the emergency exit lights. We'll put on the fasten seat belts. We'll do the chime thing just for shits and giggles. Set the pressure altitude to 340. There we go. 34,000 feet is what we're going up to. That's all good as far as I can see. I don't know if we've finished boarding yet. I think they're probably still getting the baggage on board right now, if I had to guess. We can pop outside in a second and have a look. Everything else up here looks fine, though. So, yeah. We are on... frequency needs to be 122.8 for Unicom, which is the sort of text-based advisory frequency you use on IVAO when you're not actually... when you don't actually have a controller. Let's see, trim for takeoff is 5.41. So let's set that. 5. Come on. 5.4. Well, we'll get as close as we can. Come on. That'll do. That'll do. Close enough. Right. What's going on outside? That is the question. Oh, looks like we're all good. I think we're all boarded and everything, so we'll get the doors shut. Close. And we'll close the air stair. which is the sort of steps outside. You can have a look at this. There you go. Ooh, come on. There you go. The stairs folding back into the aircraft. That's another option which I decided to tick for the sake of, I don't know, landing at weird out-of-the-way airports in the middle of nowhere where maybe we don't have stairs. So we've got those. Figured it might be... I've no idea what kind of options they had on these planes in real life at Astraeus, to be honest with you. All I know is they had the eyebrow windows because you can see them in photographs. But other than that, I'm really just guessing, to be honest with you. I've sort of gone with a Ryanair configuration, to be honest with you, with a few little tweaks like the HUD, for example, and the eyebrow windows and that sort of thing. Because I imagine if you're at that end of the budget scale, you know, Astraeus were probably fairly similar to Ryanair when it came to their setup here. The plane's done a couple of flights already, I should point this out, by the way. This isn't its first. It's done 2 flights. One from Brussels to Stansted and one from Gatwick up to, what was it, Oslo, I think, yeah. So it's already done a couple of flights, but that shouldn't make a difference. It'll be, I don't want to disappoint you too much, but it will be a while before stuff does start to break down. I'm talking a long-ass time. I will probably not record every single flight I do with this aircraft, simply because it will take that long. But it's more of a thing of whereby I wanted to do a series with one aircraft that is persistent and continues over from flight to flight to flight. And there are other aircraft you can do that with. Some of the flight factor ones, I think you can do that with an X-plane. The A2A aircraft in particular are really good for this. But they don't really do any airliners other than the old Strato cruiser. A2A, they're more into the sort of World War II props and general aviation stuff. But I'm not ruling those out for stuff we can use in the future. Not even slightly. It's all good stuff. Just this was a good place to start because I wanted to fly the PMDG, and at the same time didn't want to just make something like every other video that already exists for it. But hey, anyway. Okay, doors and shit are shut. Well, ground connections. Let's see, pitot covers are removed. Let's get the APU started. We're more or less ready to push back at this point. I'm going to keep checking the IVAO WebEye, which is a website which tells you which controllers are online and where, just to make sure no one pops up as we're sort of getting ready to push back. Because then I'd feel a bit silly if I just taxied and took off when there was a tower controller on. I think he'd feel a bit gypped and I'd feel very stupid, so... Looks like we're all good. This, Denmark, what am I talking about? The Copenhagen scenery you're looking at right now is the flight Tampa Copenhagen, which is, I think, bugged slightly because my air bridges are not there. They're sort of invisible or something. I don't really know what's going on there, but hey, it wouldn't be P3D if something wasn't broken somewhere. But hey, never mind. I'm pretty much just waiting for the APU to spool up at this point. I'm trying to think, is there a gauge here somewhere that demonstrates... Oh, well, this comes on, doesn't it? There we go. Okay, APU's on the bus. That's how we know it's ready to go. Which means I can now get rid of the air conditioning unit and the ground power as well. Get those unplugged. We can remove the wheel chocks. We can put on the anti-collision beacon. And get ready to push back, really, and start the old engines. So... Set for parking brakes, apparently. Otherwise GSX will not play ball. How very dare it. Okay. Boarding's all completed, refueling's completed, catering service completed, prepare for pushback and departure. I do not want the de-icing treatment because I don't think we actually need it, and it's just, frankly, it's cosmetic and it's kind of annoying. So, nose right, tail left. Nose right. I think that would be what we want, so we'll go with that. I'm not sure we're in icing conditions, GSX, but okay. I can check, you know. I can go to the IVAO little app thingy here, which clicking on it unfortunately mutes the sound again. But that, you know, just got to deal with ACARS, and we go to that and get the weather for Kastrup, Copenhagen here. So it's, what's the temperature? Wind is 1808 knots. Broken clouds at 4500. Few at 9000, I think, or 900 even. I'm not sure. I'm still a little bit shaky when it comes to reading this stuff. Overcast 33. Which one of these is the fucking temperature? I don't know, never mind. QNH is 1017, that is useful information. Again, I've got to double open that in order to move my camera around again. Bloody annoying. So 1017 on the altimeter, which is down there. So that's good. We can turn on that, turn on that. We can turn on that flight director, arm the auto throttle, LNAV, VNAV. Both of those are engaging, which means everything's good. It's a really good way, arming those two on the ground, to check if you've set everything up correctly. Because if they both arm, that means everything's good. If they don't, then you've got problems. It's a good way to sort any issues out you might have before takeoff, really. I need to set the IIS Mach on here to 132, which is our V2. Heading is, I don't really know, 220-ish, because we're taking off runway 22, so we'll set that. Altitude, we'll leave it at 10,000 for now. There's no controllers around. If there was, they would have given us an initial climb altitude, and we would have put it in there. But we don't have one, so it's a moot point. Apparently we've got cargo doors open still. Whoops. So those are closing. Yeah, and I think we're pretty much ready to go now. Packs can go off, ready for engine start. And all the bleeds are on. Here we go. Mr. GSX is doing his GSX-y thing. We're all locked in, ready to push back. Give me Tugmaster any day, to be honest with you. It's way more fun, but I'll take it. What is irritating is when GSX sometimes fucks up and pushes you the wrong direction. Trust me, it happens. The other day when I was at Brussels, in this very plane on its maiden journey, I was told by the controller, push and face north. What did GSX do? Pushed and faced me south, even though I selected north. Bye-bye parking brakes. Yeah, due to icing conditions, blah, blah, blah. Have we got a... it's 3 degrees out. It's not... Yeah, I call BS. GSX. But then again, I don't really know how the icing stuff works. Honestly, I'm not a bloody commercial pilot. I don't know how this shit works. Anyway, all I know is it's not below minus... It's not below 0, so I guess we don't need to worry about it. And to be honest with you, this thing doesn't model icing anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so flip that to ground. And as you've seen me doing countless other jets before, it's the same procedure. We wait for the N2 to spool up to about 25%, and then we just put in the fuel. It's very simple. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. In goes the fuel. Beautiful. Auto brake and get our RTO. Put our flaps to 5 before I forget. Is that 2 or is that 5? I think that's 2. We need 5. There's the flap gauge moving there, so we can verify that works at least. Set parking brakes, we can do that. And start a cutout up there, so we'll start number 1. God, I actually called it number 1 for once instead of number 2. What a... Wow. Not starting a bit of a trend here. I hope. Nah, who am I kidding? I'll get it all wrong. Every time. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Boom. Done. I love how you can see little sparkly bits of frost on the ground. It's so good. This is epic scenery, this really is, even if it is being a bit glitchy. Paid through the nose for it though, mind you. This fly tamper shit does not come cheap. Christ alive. And to be honest with you, it is nice, but I do prefer having the free scenery that doesn't look quite as good in X-Plane, because it means, well, it's free. You can go anywhere you like, whereas in P3D, you have to deal with the default Lego brick scenery, really, if you, unless you want to pay $30 for an airport, which even now I'm quite resistant to doing, even though I've been sort of heavily invested in this whole flight sim thing for a while now. Alright, so both engines are on, they look good, ignition go to continuous. APU bleed goes off, packs come back on. ISO valve, I guess we can switch to auto. And we'll bring on the generators on the engines. The APU comes off the bus, and the APU itself actually now goes off. Taxi lights come on. We're ready to go. Now, I believe I installed the option that allows us to get our flight controls up on the screen, which is good, so I can actually do a flight control check now. So we'll go up, down, left, and right, and the rudder to the left and to the right. It all works. Very nice. We're pretty much ready to skedaddle, I think, at this point. I'm going to lower the brightness on the screens a bit first, though, because, yikes. The bloom lighting in P3D drives me a little bit nuts when it comes to the screen brightness. It's just fucking annoying, it really is. I'm sorry, but it is. It's one of the things I'm not so mad keen on in P3D. You can turn it off, but then the game doesn't look nearly as good in most places, so, but to tell you the truth, I might still turn it off anyway. Because it makes looking at all these screens and things such a massive pain. Anyway, turn the brightness on all these down so that it doesn't look quite as weird and glowy and horrible. We can turn on our weather radar. So put weather on that. Turn on the old TCAS. Put terrain on the other side. Just like in the Boeing 767 I already showed you guys last time. That's it. Brakes off. Let's get going. Finally, I'm sure you're all saying, finally. God knows how long I've been recording for now. If I had to put a bet on it, I'd say like 30 minutes at least. So, we're going to get over to 22 right, which is over this way somewhere. I have taxied out of here before. Admittedly, it wasn't X-Plane, so the scenery did look a little bit different, but I mostly remember the way. We actually need to backtrack kind of down a runway itself, essentially. We're going to go up here, and then we're going to cross onto the runway, and then take a right off it. Our lights are on. Now, I do have the FS Effects Immersion, so-called package, which basically adds a bunch of new fancy... Did I just say fancy graphical effects to the lights and like condensation effects on the wings and things when you take off. It all looks pretty damn sort of impressive, actually, from what I've seen. I'm gonna reset my view to that so I can show you guys when we spool up for takeoff and stuff. It should look quite impressive if it's installed properly. The lights I'm seeing out of the windows in front of us here from the taxi lights and stuff look a bit different to what I'm used to, so I'm hoping it has worked. But anyway, I think we're actually going onto a runway now, so I think I actually do have to put the strobes on. What have we got here? We have Hesperia. I have never heard of them before. I think they're French by the looks of things. Possibly, I'm not sure. Maybe I can't. It's jittering about a bit. But anyway, he's in a 737 as well. I think he's in an 800. And yeah, it looks like he might have just arrived. Anyway, we're going to keep going up here and then take a right. I do have track AR on. Ooh, yeah, there we go. I've enabled it now, so I can actually move around the cockpit with my head, using my head tracking stuff that I normally use for Cliffs of Dover when I'm doing the old dogfighting stuff. But it actually does work in this too, and it is quite fun. It's a little bit immersive. Right, Mr. Hesperia. I'm amazed that the model matching thing actually had a set for that stat, because I've never heard of them before. There must be another sort of weird, sort of slightly obscure charter airline. I might be going the wrong way here if I'm being completely honest, but oh well. I don't have a little app that gives me a map of the airport, I'm afraid. I just sort of have to look at a chart and, you know, kind of figure it out the old-fashioned way. But yeah, no, I think we're going the right way though. Here we are. If I'd actually turned off the other way, we would have been going the wrong way, so that's fine. And yep, there's the HUD. There's the heads-up display. We won't really probably be using it, but it is quite handy to have. In bad conditions, I believe some airlines. It's kind of interesting the differences between different airlines and how they operate and that sort of thing. Because, for example, we take two budget airlines basically, Southwest and Ryanair. Ryanair, obviously, a European. Southwest are American, and they both are very similar. They're both low-cost airlines, as far as I'm aware. That to the left, please. They're both low-cost airlines that operate the 737, the Boeing 737, exclusively. And what makes it interesting, though, is that Ryanair do not have these HUDs installed, as far as I'm aware. They don't have those. And in really, really terrible conditions, they use, I think, the auto land feature of the autopilot. Southwest, on the other hand, are not allowed to use auto land because it's just company procedure. Right, here we go, I think. Is this the runway? I can't honestly tell. You know, actually looking at some of these taxi signs might help, you know, figure out where I am. Alpha 2 on a 2 to your right. Yeah, this is it. This is it. It just looks a bit thin for a runway, I guess, but... Oh, who am I to judge? Apparently Denmark Centre's online. That's what the Bing Bong was about. I'll contact them in a second. I'll get my takeoff and shit done first. It's 121.375. Well, let me just hold here for a second and get that put in. 121... 37. There we go. Let me just switch you over to legs. Menu, FMC. Legs. There we go. And I'm trying to remember at this point what departure we're flying, because I'm going to have to tell him in a second. I think we're doing... Where is it? Come on. Ooh! The Lango 1 Charlie. Okay. There we go. Right. Lango 1 Charlie. Ooh, I'm all nervous now. Anyway. Right. Probably about time we got going, so let's just do this. Start the clock. Parking brake off. Spool up to about 60%. And toga. Here we go. Rolling out. Oh shit, I didn't... Ah, transponder. There we go. You had forgotten something. Rotate. Sloppiest takeoff of the year award goes to. There we go. Positive rate. Gear up. The acceleration is real. Well, actually it's not. The rate of climb is real. Okay, here we go. I'll flats up a bit. Maybe I shouldn't have brought the flaps up just then. Right, I am now going to whack in autopilot. I could hand fly it quite easily, but not while trying to deal with radios and shit at the same time, generally speaking. Okay.
747 going into the box, easy 1985.
Okay.
Copenhagen Control, good evening, Frankfurt Opera 19 flight level 370.
Frankfurt Virtual 19, flight level 3 370 identified. Easy 1985 identified, flight level 370, proceed direct. Trano, Tango November Oscar.
Direct to Tango November Oscar, easy 1985, thank you.
Copenhagen Control, good evening. Flystar 1215 climbing via the Lango 1 Charlie out of Copenhagen.
Flystar 1215, good evening Copenhagen Control, set squawk 6077.
Squawk 6077, Flystar 1215. Right, I can turn the gear handle off before anyone yells at me about that, and I'm actually going to switch off track RA now because it's hindering rather than helping me. Okay, so down to the transponder, 6077. 607. Somebody needs to turn the microphone up a bit. Crikey. Barely hear him. Right, there we go. We're on the climb out. Set standard on the altimeter. Now,
Mid
there we go.
758, good evening, set squawk 4421.
Let's see. Lango 1 Charlie takes us up to flight level 340 more or less, so we'll just put it up to there and...
Flight level 1215, set squawk mode Charlie, please.
Yep, squawking mode Charlie, sorry about that. I forgot that in P3D...
8,500 feet, identified, proceed direct, Echo Lima, climb flight level 210.
Direct Echo Lima, flight level 210, flight star 1215. Didn't correct me, which means I got it right. So Echo Lima, where are you then? Eel. There we go. Direct eel. So click that basically and bring it to the top of the plan. Execute, and now we're going direct eel. There we go. So yeah, this is a limitation of the sim. In X-Plane, which is what I usually fly, you just hit your transponder in the sim to TARA and you're good. I forget on a regular basis, I'm afraid, that in P3D you have to open up the little client thing here and hit this over from standby to TX or whatever. Yeah, so be aware of that if you want to fly on IVAO in P3D or FSX. You've got to do that. So anyway, I'm afraid we missed all the fun condensation and bullshit on here. Even if I don't even know if it's working, to be honest with you. I've been having issues trying to get the old immersion packagey thing to work, but never mind. Either way, we're on our way out of
flight level 80.
we're on our way out of Denmark, and
flight level 80.
on our way over to the UK. We're going to go across the German and Dutch coast, I think, on the way down, and then we'll make the hop across the channel back into England, so we'll at least have some stuff to look at. We won't be cruising over the North Sea for most of it. However, there's so much bloody cloud around at the minute. There isn't really much of the ground. There's 2C, is there, to be fair? I'm not complaining. It's real world weather as usual. I'm using Active Sky Next for the weather. It looks, well, looks fairly impressive, I'd say. It's not really so much the quality of the cloud effects, like those ones over there look a bit funny, but it's the sheer quantity, really, that baffles me. It just goes right off to the horizon. I love it. Anyway, you don't get that in X-Plane, sadly, even though the actual clouds themselves in X-Plane, I feel, look a bit better. You don't get as much of them. So there you are, but never mind. So I'm looking at the IVAO webeye at the minute. It looks like Denmark's on. Bremen radar, which is what we'd be handed over to once we crossed into Germany, they're not on at the minute, and neither is Amsterdam radar, so I think once we get out of Denmark, that might be it for us. There's really not much else going on, though, as far as we're concerned, until... Oh, turn those off of continuous. And you know, I never did put the landing lights on. That was a bit silly of me, and I actually left my strobe off as well. Whoops. We know what, we'll put the retractables away. We're climbing, well, we're past 10,000 anyway, so yeah, it all needs to be off. Oh, the switching on and off the lights at the correct time, is it not the most important thing in learning how to fly a plane? Is it not? I mean, honestly, just... That's it. Gotta go back to the airport now, guys. I forgot to switch the lights on at the right time. It's mission abort. We're done. We're going back to Copenhagen. Or not. Anyway.
It's gonna be 758 and right heading 310.
That was definitely the wrong knob to switch. Ooh.
Right 310, Scandinavian 75.
Lufthansa Cargo 8126, correction 8164, request.
Lufthansa Cargo 8164, go ahead.
8164, request frequency change to Iceland, Reykjavik for oceanic clearance.
Lufthansa Cargo 8164, just a moment, I'll check.
I would return when clearance is given.
Lufthansa Cargo 8164, roger. So go ahead and contact Reykjavik Control on 126.65 and 126.75 and report on back.
Roger. Over to Reykjavik Control 2675 and report when back on the frequency Lufthansa Cargo 8164. See ya.
Thank you. Flight level 1215, climb flight level 340.
Flight level 340, flystar 1215.
Canadian 758, turn right heading turn left heading 240, cleared out, let's approach from 2 to left.
240 to left and clear right, 2 to left, Scandinavian 58, thanks.
Lufthansa Cargo 8164, we just received our oceanic clearance and are back to you again.
Lufthansa 8164, roger. Contact Stavanger Control on 120.65, bye-bye.
120.6, Lufthansa Cargo 8164. Goodbye.
Flight 1215, you're leaving controlled airspace, monitor Unicom 1228, and have a nice flight down to Stansted, bye-bye.
Over to Unicom 122.8, thanks very much, bye-bye.